Hello. Call me Sheriff Bojangles. Why, you may ask? Are you only seeing my mouth and my fingers? Well, it's because I'm talking about something that's important and that needs to be changed. And whenever there's something that's important and that needs to be changed, it means that there are people who are not going to like it. People who have tools at their disposal. The primary tool they have at their disposal is a legal system that has evolved over time to be justice in the sense that it's just what the people in charge want it to be. That's justice. People who wear badges, for example, wear it a little lower, usually down at around here, right? Down. Well, you can't see it. It's not important. You know what I'm talking about. You're not one of those morons that most media is assuming you to be. Not that the people who make media don't think there are plenty of smart people around. It's just that in order to make the money in what is in fact still the 20th century, or perhaps updated to be the Y2K way of thinking about media, that will skip the Y2. Well, Y2K is just the addition of technology, 21st century technology, on top of a 20th century mindset. 20th century mindset regarding media. Very understandable why it existed. Makes perfect sense. If you were going to produce media that was audio and or video, you had to have a vast production and then distribution network and marketing and all that other stuff. All sorts of legal issues, because you're talking about lots of people. Television is not just about a box that takes signals and recreates a picture. It's about the content. That's why the man who was one of the real pioneers of television, David Sarnoff, who started Radio Corporation of America. He, by the way, just as sort of interesting little incidental thing, and well, maybe it wasn't so incidental because maybe he became known through doing this, but he was the guy, and he was only about 13, I think, at the time, or 15 maybe, but he was definitely a minor. I mean, he wouldn't have been allowed to do what he was doing now because he was too young, and he was the telegraph operator in the middle of the night in that April 1912 night when the Titanic's signal distress went out. And he was in a place where it was his job to relay messages that needed to be relayed. And of course, with something like the Titanic sinking, it was his job to try to make sure everybody who could possibly do anything about this knew and he was the one who made sure, I think well, I don't know. All I know is he was up all night, and his part in this whole unfortunate, drama, except it was more than a drama because people died. Of course, not so much the rich people who set the thing up, who said we're going to make a ship with only enough lifeboats for the first-class passengers, number one, and number two, we're going to, because we're so great, we're just so great, and we want to show the world that we could just get from England to New York really fast. Why should we worry about such little things as ice fields? We'll just go through them. We're not going to. I mean, it's just really kind of dumb, dumb. But how many people died? Because some people were dumb. Actually, there's another word that's important here. Arrogant. They think they know, but they don't. We had a Decretary of Defense. I do this switching around partly because in general, we don't use real names of people. I mean, if they're public figures, we can. It's just that it's even better. It's also kind of funny, when you do this reversal thing. So there have been various groups of people or individuals who have made it very entertaining to talk about things by reversing the letters, giving the first letter of two words, or the first letters of two words, and then switching them around. It's great for names. So we've got this guy and positions and so on. So this guy was the Decretary of Defense under Tush II. That's not a reversal. That's just there was Tush Senior and now the Tush Junior, and there's a few other Tushes waiting in the sidelines hoping to get in again. But I think we've had enough of the Tushes. They're really. Anyway, that's the Tushes. And the Decretary of Defense, Ronald Dumsfeld, I think that's very appropriate, comes out to explain why the war isn't going so well, why we've allowed the National Museum to be completely pillaged, why things are chaotic, and really, just a lot of our, why our soldiers wind up getting not only killed but then hung up off of bridges and burned for TV for everybody to watch. Things are just not going just the way that old Ronnie Dumsfeld and his friends. Oh, of course, we got to remember Chick Daney, the white ringer, the ex-Price President of the United States. Don't go hunting with him. Don't. It's dangerous. Anyway, we're going off the topic as usual, which is one of my, what am I saying? We're not going off the topic. I'm explaining things and giving examples, and one thing leads to another, and if I'm not careful, I might really lose my train of thought and make it impossible for you to follow what I'm saying. That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to explain why only my mouth right now. Well, there are people who really like being in control. Those people, that's kind of the bottom level, they've got badges. Or they've got they've got uniforms. The bottom feeders. There are actually some good guy guards, but in general, if you work as a guard in a prison, you are supposed to be a nasty, power-mongering jerk. And you better be in front of other people. I mean, I met some nice guys in jail, guards, a couple of them, but they weren't going to be nice to me in front of somebody, in front of their boss or in front of their colleagues. They're not allowed to be. They ain't allowed to be. Got to be undercover if you're going to be nice to a prisoner. I mean, we're the guards. We're on top. Of course, the guards, who are their bosses? Nice people who treat them well, who treat them like equals. Their bosses treat them like equals. No, their bosses treat them like shit. So, the deal is, we'll treat you like shit, and then you get to treat those people like shit, you know. That's the way we do it. So, anyway, I've been in jail. Are we going to get everything in here? 6 times. Count them, 6. I've been arrested. 5. Count them, 5. Not 6. 5 times. Interesting story for another day. But this is all to say that, well, I'm being very public now. In this town, it's a city, almost 100,000 people, a place that, well, used to be known for its kind of liberal policies, and still has a lot of that. But, you know, part of the problem being on right where the ocean is, with perfect climate, if you're liberal, people who really are not happy, were not happy where they lived, and felt going west was going to help them, some people are very successful at that because, well, California really is a land of dreams. And there have been many people who have figured out how to make their dreams become a reality. However, the only people who've done that have either been extremely lucky or have had a great patron, somebody who, if your friend happens to be Steven Spielberg, your uncle or something, that helps a lot, it really does. And it helps too much. Because that's the way the system has developed here. You're either an insider, and if you're a real insider, you got everything. You don't have to do kaboobies. You just have to kind of show up, and you're fine. If you don't have those connections, you're not on the inside, you could be doing the best work imaginable. And nobody's going to pay no attention to you because you're not. Whatever. So anyway, I think there are a lot of people who leave the Midwest, leave the East, the South, get out of Texas. They say enough of Texas, enough of life in farms where maybe at one time there was real, farms when they're family owned and the family worked the farm. There was real solid, like something positive there, even if maybe, some people still had to leave because they couldn't stand working. Their father, they just needed to lead their own life, and that's why they left. But there was a time when farms were primarily family-owned, and it was a good life to be a farmer. A hard life, but a good life. And if you were a child of a farmer, a mentally healthy farmer, you expected to work. Learn how to work. Learn how to get up and just do the work, get the work done, and then then you have time to rest when you have time to rest, and then you got more work to do, and you learn how to work. And learning how to work is a good thing. Many of us are taught to hate work because we make this artificial distinction between on this side is play and fun, and on this side is work and drudgery. And, well, I think the difference between work and play is just that is the discipline. That's all. It's the discipline of work is, okay, we got to clean up after our mess. We played, and now we got to clean up. That's work. But that doesn't mean we can't play at cleaning up, sing, time, clean up, do your share, clean up, everybody, everywhere. And we think of that for little kids, but the fact is, you got work to do. It's manual labor and tedious, singing while you work. Whistle while you work. That's the dwarves whistled, but singing is fine too. Singing works just fine for me. That's from James Taylor. His lullaby song that he made was so famous for. Good night, you moonlight ladies, rock-a-bye, sweet baby James. Deep greens and blues are the colors I choose. Won't you let me go down in my dreams and rock-a-bye, sweet baby James? Anyway, all of those kind of nice things, it's not what you find in the hierarchical structure that is the societal controls in the legal system. We are going to control you. If you are a blue-collar type, we're going to control you by putting you in jail or threatening to put you in jail, getting you to do something stupid, which is very easy to do when 2 or 3 cops are team tagging you and trying to get your goat so you do something. You say, what the hell are you talking about? I already answered that question, and now you're telling me that I said something different from what I actually said. Huh? Believe you me, it takes a lot of focus to not turn to that person who just accused you of saying something which you didn't say. It takes a lot of focus to not say, what the hell are you talking about, asshole? I never said that. Well, don't you dare do that. That's resisting. That's attacking the cop. And the cop always has a witness. Do you ever notice? You ever see when some cop pulls somebody over, unless it's just routine, if it's a routine ticket, they're just going to give you the ticket. They got their quota, they're going to give you a ticket. And maybe you really deserve it. You went through a red light, you're going way too fast on the highway, so that's it. But anything more than that, cops always call for backup. And this is a very important thing to realize. That yes, it is important in case the particular person that they're apprehending turns out to have a gun and is crazy and going to use it, or whatever, it's going to fight and whatever. It's good to have backup, absolutely. But the backup that they call for has to do with witnessing. That's what they really care about. They want to make sure that whatever happens, they're covered. And if you don't believe that code of silence, or that code of protecting one another doesn't exist, well, I'll tell you, I'll tell you something. If you're one of those people, I just came across an incredible deal. I mean, an investment opportunity. See, they're trying to do this thing called congestion pricing in New York, and one of the things they want to start charging people to go over the Brooklyn Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge being, the best one, the most interesting. It's a work of art, the Brooklyn Bridge. It really is. So it's one of many, but just because we're talking, I realize you have certain tendencies to believe things, so I'm going to tell you something about this bridge and about congestion pricing. I happen to be an agent for the congestion pricing scheme. I can take money from people and to put into the, and I give people a certificate. It says what the money that they gave to me is going to be used for. It's all about this whole thing of setting up toll booths and charging people to go across the Brooklyn Bridge and other bridges. I have exclusive arrangements concerning the Brooklyn Bridge. So if you want to get in on this, it's going to be a very good deal. Really, it's like, it's kind of like I'm selling you a part of the Brooklyn Bridge. And in fact, it's an amazing thing, this congestion pricing, like racket, It's supposed to be meant to keep down congestion, but it's really, come on, baby poo. What is not meant to put money in somebody's pocket? Ha, 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 ha. And especially if you're talking about big things in which lots and lots of people, so you're putting 1 penny per person in somebody's pocket. It's a lot of money. So anyway, I don't really expect you to fall for that nonsense, but But if you believe that police are going to tell on each other when they see that another policeman has acted in a way that could have resulted in the death of somebody who had their hands up and was doing nothing. If you believe that Officer Preparation H, I'm calling him that. He knows why I'm calling him Preparation H. I actually don't really want him to know. I mean, if you're listening, good. Because it's conceivable, sir, that you are one of the good guy cops. Good guy cops, bad guy cops. They're good guy judges, bad guy judges. There are good guy senators and there are bad guy senators, etc., etc. Good guy military people and bad guy military people. Good guy military hardware manufacturers who say, we want to manufacture things that are needed. And then there are the bad guy ones who say, we're going to spend a fair amount of our huge profits margins pushing the Congress to putting that little line on this big 600-page, budget document, this little line that's going to benefit us. We're going to spend a lot of money to do that. And we're going to do it. And we're going to get away with it. That's what's called lobbying, Oh, lobbying, it's just about information, education. Ha! That's another one. You know what? I got another bridge for you. If you think lobbying is primarily about education. Sure, there's a piece of it. And legitimate lobbying, yeah, sure. There is education involved because no senator or congressman could possibly keep up with all the different things going on, so you need to talk to them. Fine. It's just that if you get to have an hour of their time at lunch and they find that there's, a contribution for their re-election campaign in your name, or maybe not in your name, it's just known that that's, or maybe a little envelope with cash, just happens to be left on the table. Whatever. Whatever, baby poo. People who want to use money to control the way things are. Let's talk about global warming. Front page of the New York Times says, well, the evidence is in. The evidence that has been accumulating, loads of evidence. When you look at a map of the United States and you see what's happened compared to all the years from 1901 to 1960, compared to the years 1991 through 2011, I think, or whatever. I'm kind of interested in the fact that, they're using a different time frame. And people can say, oh, you see, they're just playing with numbers. And, of course, numbers can be played with. Statistics can be very well used to lie. But, believe me, if you don't think that all this crap we're spewing into the air all the time doesn't have any effect, well, you're a frickin' moron. Okay? Period. I'm not going to apologize. I don't think you are. You would have shut me off a long time ago if you were a frickin' moron. So, I'm going to wrap up for today. I'll talk more. Talk more about this whole business, what this is all about, because I personally was the victim of attempted accidental murder by a man who decided he was going to do this at my risk. He was going to body slam me into a flower bed where you could not tell what was under there. And going through my heart right here could have happened. Or my eye. My eye went right into the dirt. I was coughing up dirt and stuff from old dead flowers for hours after that happened. Had a little bruise on my leg where the beer bottle was. It wasn't broken. If it had been broken with a pointing up, it wouldn't have just been a bruise, no siree. And if it had been in a few choice places, right to the left of my sternum, right there, I think I'm repeating myself, aren't I? I already talked about this. So it's definitely time for me to finish, wrap up. I'll be talking to you again about real things going on in our lives. I'm also going to be talking about what people are doing about it. Without going into any great detail, well, people are doing what Gandhi said we can do. And what he proved can not only be done, but when it's done, can lead to real change, positive change. Gandhi said, we can each become the change we seek in the world. We can't change other people directly, but I'm going to have to stop for sure because the battery's dying. But we can't change other people, but we can become the change. That's what we're going to do. We people are doing it. We're already doing it. And one of my roles is to talk about some of the actual ways that people are learning how to do this, how to become the change themselves, not to necessarily go out and join this party or do that or be on this project or whatever. They can. There are all sorts of things people can do, but the most important thing that any one person can do, by far, is the thing they have control over. Become the change they seek. They want a world that's got a little more compassion. Learn to be more compassionate. They want a world in which people are a little more patient, a little friendlier, a little more thoughtful, caring, any of those things. Or they want a world in which people stand up for the right. Well, then learn how to stand up for the right. And at that, I'm going to say goodbye for now.